Marvelous hello, friends and loved ones, how are you today? This is usually the part of the video where I'd be talking to you face to face, but as of right now, I'm in the process of moving and don't have a great setup for filming. So please, pardon this narration-only episode. With that out of the way, Pokemon Sun and Moon came out a few weeks ago, and everyone seems really happy about it. I've been enjoying it myself in my free time, and since I've already done a few Sun and Moon related videos, such as my top 5 desired Alolan forms, and the 5 initial reasons why I already love Alolan Muck, I thought I'd dedicate a video to my personal favorite aspect of any new generation of Pokemon, the new Pokemon. So today, I'm bringing you all my top 10 favorite Generation 7 Pokemon. Now these are just my personal favorites, and are on this list for a variety of reasons, such as design, typing, backstory. Whatever the reason, just know that it's an entirely subjective list, so I'm sorry if your favorite isn't on it. I'd also like to preface by saying that I'm not including any of the regional variants on this list. As interesting as Rexecutor, Faticate, and Sandslush may be, I don't count them as new Pokemon so much as new forms. So with all of that in mind, let's get started. Right off the bat, I'm going to cheat a little bit by talking about a Pokemon that, as far as I know, has not been officially revealed yet. Naturally, I am well aware the mere act of talking about this Pokemon is considered a spoiler, so I'm going to do the courteous thing and put up a timestamp letting you know when the spoilers end so you can jump there yourself or give it a click. I'll now give you a couple of seconds to take care of that. Okay? We good? Last chance. Here's a picture of Olivia. Okay, I'm moving on. Number 10 on this list goes to the mythical Pokemon Marsh Shadow. I mean, just look at how adorable this little guy is. I've always wondered if Game Freak would ever turn the concept of shadow boxing into a Pokemon, and it seems as if Marsh Shadow is the literal representation of that, being a fighting ghost type. Marsh Shadow also seems based on the Night Marchers, which was a popular ghost story I heard a lot growing up in Hawaii. But never before now has a Night Marcher been so adorable with his tiny fist and his ghostly Makaki'i helmet. I love it. I don't have too much to say or show about this particular Pokemon, but based on design, concept, and type alone, I'm already in love with it and can't wait for more on its official reveal. Now I should probably address the people who skipped the spoilers. Hey there, welcome back! Sorry about that, trust me, you didn't miss much. The whole unannounced spoiler thing is the main reason I had this particular Pokemon all the way at number 10. Let's just move on, shall we? Once upon a time, when I was younger, I was so into murder mystery novels that I'd actually nickname my Pokemon after detectives. I'd have a Snorlax named after Nero Wolf, or a Tangela named after Columbo, that sort of thing. Well, I never anticipated that Game Freak would go out of their way to make a Pokemon detective. I mean, besides that one, which is apparently being made into a movie, even though we never even got the game over here. I'm not angry, you're angry! What was I talking about? Oh right, Gumshoes. When it comes to Gumshoes, I just love him so much in concept. He's a bipedal mongoose with his scruffy detective beard and his determined stance, and they named him Gumshoes. I loved that name so much, I even drew some fan art of him as Dick Gumshoe from Ace Attorney. And annoying fun fact, you can't even name your Gumshoes Dick after the character. Sad. You know, looking at Detective Gumshoes here, and looking back at the other early game normal-type Pokemon, I'm not the only one seeing a line of suspects for a pretty good murder mystery, am I? Whodunit? When I first saw the Pokemon Wimpod, I was instantly enamored. I knew this cowardly, chitinous chum would grow up to achieve greatness, and man did it go above and beyond expectations. Which is why I'm not giving the number 8 slot to Wimpod, but its evolution. See, once you get your little Wimpod up to level 30, it becomes the 6-armed samurai sentinel of the seas, Golisopod. And this guy is cool. And it makes me so happy that we finally have a really awesome bug water type. Don't look at me like that, Surskit. I loved you, but you had to go and ruin it when you evolved. Plus, I'm happy we finally have a bug water type that can learn Surf. I was always bothered by Bug being the only type to not have a Pokemon that could learn Surf, even if it is entirely meaningless now that HMs are no longer a thing. But still, it's impossible for me not to love Golisopod. Knowing he's the result of facing your fears and getting things done is such an inspiration. It makes me want to work hard and face my fears and just overall better myself too. Eventually. The Pokemon Wishy Washy is a very interesting one to me, as it seems to be a new take on an old favorite. A fairly useless, seemingly harmless fish that transforms into something powerful or magnificent. Unlike previous weakling fish, Wishy Washy doesn't evolve and attains its power through the wise old concept of strength in numbers. While Pokemon like Magneton or Dugtrio can just be 3 of the same Pokemon banded together and called a new species, Wishy Washy seems to take on a couple hundred of itself to form this delightful Leviathan, and I love it. There's just something really spectacular about seeing these little dudes work together in such an amazing and powerful way. I mean, the Pokedex entry for its school form says, at their appearance, even Gyarados will flee, which is pretty crazy to think about. But honestly, whether it's one of these teeny little fish or 1,000 of them, Wishy Washy earns a place on this list. Hey wait, a weakling Pokemon that gets beefier, isn't that exactly why I liked Galactus? I think everybody who has ever played Pokemon has their favorite type of Pokemon. I've made it no secret that I'm a fan of poison types. But while every trainer has their favorites, it only makes sense that certain types don't leave much of an impression. For me, one of these has always been the rock type. While there are certain rock type Pokemon I really enjoy, I mean Sudowoodo is one of my all-time favorites, I never really felt like there was a lot of variety to rock type, because so many of them are just, well, rocks. Or dinosaurs. But mostly rocks. And sometimes rock dinosaurs. The point is, I was really excited to see Rockruff and Lycanroc introduced in this generation, because I feel like it really stands out as a unique addition to the rock type lineup. As much as I love Rockruff, I'm going to give this slot specifically to Lycanroc. Maybe I just like the idea of having a rock type that's more speed-based, that doesn't just look like a walking gravel pit, and that feels really unique. Or maybe I just love it because look at the fluffy doggy. The world may never know. But Lycanroc is still my number 6. Allow me to open up my number 5 with a bit of an unpopular opinion. I generally don't use my starter Pokemon. Most of them start out pretty cute, and I feel like the middle forms are misses more often than hits, but when it comes to the final form, I'm usually just not attached to them enough to keep them as a member of my team, as there are usually other Pokemon of the same type that I like better. The only starter I generally use out of sheer love for the Pokemon itself is Feraligatr, because I really like Feraligatr. But we're not here to talk about Feraligatr. No, my number 5 slot goes to a different water starter, the elegant Primarina. When the starters were first announced, I noticed that Popplio was easily the most divisive of the bunch. Many people thought the little clown seal was just too silly and embarrassing to be a starter, but those that did love it loved it a lot. I was in the camp that Popplio was okay. I liked Rowlet better, but I liked Popplio more than Litten. However, Popplio stands out as the most interesting to me as a family. Once Rowlet evolves into Miles Edgeworth, it kinda lost me. And Litten's evolution almost just feels like Game Freak is making fun of everyone who was ever mad about all the firefighting starters. But Popplio's line stayed interesting to me, not just as a seal, but as an entertainer. The young Popplio starts out as a simple clown, graduates into a ballerina dancer, and eventually transitions into the star of the show. Maybe that's a silly reason to some of you, but Primarina stood out to me as such an engaging and elegant Pokemon that she secured a spot on this list, and on my team. Our next Pokemon is a fun one. So you see, don't talk about Serena's butt. Don't talk about Serena's butt. Don't talk about Serena's butt. Serena's butt? That's it, I'm out of here. But seriously, number 4 on this list goes to Serena. I've always had a fondness for the powerful, dignified grass-type Pokemon like Lilligant or Roserade. I mean, I like Blossom more than Vileplume, even though it loses my beloved Poison type. But to me, there's so much more to Serena that I find very interesting. I like the regal yet dominating design. I like the play on words that a mangosteen is known as the Queen of Fruits. I like the extra mile Game Freak went with this Pokemon to establish her royalty with a unique ability and signature move. Needless to say, I am certainly looking forward to the Dex episode on this beauty of a Pokemon, because I'm only scratching the surface on what makes Serena so amazing here. Also, okay, she just reminds me of Mitsuru Kirijo. Is that what you wanted to hear? I'm not the only one, right? Coming in at number 3 is another Pokemon that strikes me as a mixture of opulence and deadliness, the venomous vixen reptile known as Salazzle. I really enjoyed Salandit when it was first announced for a variety of reasons, and while I'd be lying if I said this is how I expected it to evolve, I can't say I'm disappointed. Salazzle kinda reminds me of the Gerudo from the Legend of Zelda series. So much of Salazzle just seems to be an ideal cocktail of things that I love. A poison-type lizard, who is also a brand new type combination with the fire add-on, with a sleek design just oozing sinister sensuality. She's got an awesome new ability where she can poison steel types, and is one of the only Pokemon to have a 4 times resistance to Fairy? Yeah, you better believe I was searching that first area I found Salandit in for a good female one. Which was also incredibly enjoyable, because while this is unrelated, can I just say that the Wela Volcano Park has some of my favorite music in the entire series? At number 2, we have the Pokemon that I'm pretty sure is on everybody's top 10 for this generation. The adorable little Mimikyu. There's just something captivating about a Pokemon that just wants to be loved, and seeing the effort it put into that by disguising itself as a Pikachu makes it incredibly endearing. I've noticed that sad Pokemon tend to be very beloved because we just want to give them a big hug and make them feel better. Looking at you, Cubone. I don't really have too much else to say about Mimikyu. I just love the idea of a sheet ghost Pokemon by itself, but going the extra mile by having its costume being a Pikachu because it just wants to be loved is immensely heartwarming. Mimikyu has already captured the hearts of tons of trainers online, and with it being the number 2 on this list, I'm obviously one of them. And finally, coming in at number 1 is the only unevolved Pokemon on this list, Brawler. As soon as this guy was announced, I was enthralled. I don't even have good word making for how much I love Brawler. He's a big purple crab fighting type. I know Brawler isn't the first boxer we've had in the series, that honor will always go to Hitmonchan, but Brawler felt more like a nod to old-timey pugilism with the way it waves its big, meaty claws around. This isn't to say I don't like Crabominable. I mean, the idea of a fighting ice woolly crab yeti is certainly an appealing one, and yes, when push came to shove in my playthrough, I went ahead and let my guy evolve, but in my heart, I'll always have a bit more fondness for its first form, and I'm happy to call Brawler my favorite Pokemon introduced in Generation 7. So there you have it, my top 10 Generation 7 Pokemon. Like I said, this is just my own personal list, so if I didn't include someone that you really love, here's what you can do. Leave a comment down there telling me who some of your favorite Sun and Moon Pokemon were and why you love them so much. I'd be thrilled to read posts from passionate trainers talking about their favorites. I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode, as this will probably be my last video of the year. 2016 was a big year for me. I opened it up with my top 10 games of 2015, got to collaborate with a good buddy to talk about one of the top 10 axes in video games, celebrated the 1-year anniversary of my channel with WWF Warzone, and even finally covered a Megami Tensei game with Raido Kuzunoha. I couldn't have made it this far without your support, and I want to thank all of you who watch, those of you who are subscribed, anyone who leaves a comment, I try to reply to them all. If you've ever liked or shared one of my videos, thank you for that. A super special thanks to my Patreon supporters, it means so much that you believe in me. I'll be back soon with my top games of 2016 video, and with it being the 30th anniversary of Megami Tensei, you can bet I've got some fun surprises in store for 2017. But for now, thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care. Oh, and if anyone was curious, you better believe that I named my Brawler after world-famous pugilist Tommy Ray Hadley!